Right, we are live, everybody. It is time to... What are we doing? What are we doing tonight? Wow.
Well, it's the film challenge finale.
Touche. Touche. Did you guys have a favorite film from the submissions?
Yes, but I can't sell the farm now.
Yeah, you gotta.
You have to tell me what it is. I'm just wondering if you had like one specific that stood out for you.
Oh, I love them all in different ways. Like they're all my cats.
Your cats?
Yeah, I know what I said.
I just wanted to verify that is what you said. What did everybody get up to today as we gather some viewers for tonight's show?
Did some shopping, going to a wedding tomorrow, so I needed an outfit, so that's what I did.
Excellent. What about you, Nicole?
Oh.
Who is frozen in the most beautiful smile?
Yes!
Oh, there she is.
Oh, you're back. You had frozen in like the most beautiful smile.
It's true.
Which is funny to what we were talking about prior to going live.
I might have to move myself. I think my internet is bad in this corner.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, but then we won't share a wall.
I know. Well, we might.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Delightful. All right, so while we still gather some viewers, and again, if you're watching this later, you can catch this later tonight when it's available for rewatch. If you had to choose your favorite movie of all time, what would it be?
Of all time.
Of all time.
How dare
Okay,
you?
I'm gonna pause myself for a second.
You pause yourself, Smiley, and
Pause.
Well, much like the films tonight and Matthew's cats, I have different films that I love for different reasons. I don't just have one that I love. I love The Godfather as far as like a drama goes. But like my feel good, like if I'm like sick home, stuck at home sick, or I just need like a pick me up movie, Empire Records is my go to. I've seen that movie.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Empire Strikes Back.
No.
It's a good movie.
If I need a feel good movie, I watch it. That's the most downer one of the trilogy.
Oh, yeah, you know, anything works. What about you, Matt? What's yours?
It's a toss up between Wizard of Oz and Truman Show for my all-time favorite. And then I have subcategories of other favorites, but like those are my two go-to.
All right. I think Nicole is ready to come back and join our stream again. So there she is.
There she is. She's on the other side now. I'm so
Yeah.
confused.
Matt and I share a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. Hi, Carly. Welcome for joining us tonight. All right, so we have 3 films to... Oh, Nicole, you didn't get to answer the question. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Okay, when I am sick, I watch Beauty and the Beast.
Good.
And then a movie that I could just like pick up at any time, regardless. Like if it's on television, I will just watch it at any point in time. Credits, it doesn't matter, is The Princess Bride.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Delightful. My pick-me-up movie is going to be Halloween.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I love a good horror movie, and it doesn't let me down.
My other one's Silence of the Lambs. So
All right, there you go. There, that will do it. Carly, if you do you have a favorite movie of all time? I was going to say a horror movie. Do you have a favorite movie of all time? Anyone else watching, please feel free to put in the comments what your favorite movie of all time is. I don't know if Halloween's my all-time favorite, but it's definitely my go-to favorite. Yeah. I mean, The Wizard of Oz when I was a kid. Oh, Parent Trap.
Oh,
Ooh, good one.
All right.
Oh, it depends which twins though.
I was going to say the new one or the old one. I mean, they're both old now, but...
Mm-hmm. I personally, controversial opinion, I think the remake is better as a movie.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Disney agrees.
Oh, yeah. Like, the old one is a classic in its classic way, and, like, Haley Mills, delightful. But just as a film, like, the remake is so much better. It's like almost 3 hours long, and it doesn't feel like it. It moves like
Mary
this.
Kate and Ashley.
Oh, It Takes Two.
Nice.
Aha. Now, Matt, I know you went and saw Jungle Cruise the other day.
I've seen it twice now. I saw it in theaters, and I paid to watch it online as much as I want, which so far has only been once.
Isn't that a $40 charge?
35.
Well, you better watch it a few more times.
I'm considering it a business expense for my YouTube channel.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watch it a few more times.
Oh, I will.
Watch it.
I also
heard
share
it.
my account with one of my
Fantastic.
friends, and I've encouraged them very forcibly to watch it as well before it becomes free to everyone on Disney Plus.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm gonna wait because I'm already paying for Disney Plus, so it's not really free because I'm already paying for Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll wait. But did you enjoy? I guess you enjoyed the movie. You paid $35 for it.
I didn't disenjoy it. It wasn't. It was what I knew it was going to be, so it didn't disappoint in that way. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it's still like a very enjoyable summer action fun movie. And in terms of movies based on Disney park attractions, it's probably the best one after the first Pirates.
So
Like
do you
goes
think?
first Pirates movie, Jungle Cruise, then all the other crap that's terrible.
Do you think this movie coming out will make the lines longer on the Jungle Cruise? Speak English.
Probably. I mean, the Jungle Cruise just got a major refurbishment, and they've completely changed the ride. And so I think the lines are going to be kind of longer just to see that in general. The refurb has nothing to do with the movie because the movie takes place about 20 years before the ride takes place, which was a very smart move on Disney's part for reasons I'm going to write a very long video essay about. But I think Jungle Cruise, it has some flaws, and it very easily could have been a much better movie, but they were scared to go there.
Right. All right, friends. So it's time to get started for the first annual NewWerx Film Challenge. And of course, if you follow us on all social media, you know everything begins with one of these. From the thousands of people out there in the house, just laugh. Oh, we have some extra hellos. Hello, Martha. Hello, Louisa. She says, hi, friends. Joining us. So we had 3 incredible submissions for Matthew's NewWerx Film Challenge. He put this together, so job well done, Matthew.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. A round of applause.
Oh, stop it, but keep going.
No, we're on a time limit.
Okay.
So, Matt, explain to everyone watching at home what's going to happen tonight.
Okay, so what's going to happen tonight is we are going to watch all 3 films. They're pretty short. They span between about 1 to 3 minutes each. And then the panel of judges here is just going to critique them. So we have 5 predetermined categories that we're going to give feedback on. The categories are, let me check the list, performances, so the acting performances, cinematography, i.e. camera work, how does the film look, editing, how was it cut together, sound design as well as sound mixing, so how does it sound to the ears, as well as overall direction. And for overall direction, that category, at least for me, I'm leaning heavily into how did they interpret the text. Because the big thing with this film challenge is that everyone who was competing was given the same script, and it was what we call in the industry an open script. By industry, I mean acting school. And so it was one of those scripts that is so open to interpretation and doesn't really give that much information that you can really go in a lot of different directions with it. So all 3 films are working with the exact same dialogue, and then it was up to them to establish character relationships and to tell a story by pairing visuals with the words that were on the page. So it's a really cool thing just seeing these 3 films up against one another and seeing how the same words can be brought to life by different minds.
Excellent. Well done. Now, of course, as Matthew said, if you haven't been able to watch the short films yet, we're going to show them. We're going to show the first one, which was submitted to us by Jesse Crump. When that film is over, we will give you our scores in each category that Matthew suggested. Each one is rated out of 10. And now we're going to be We're not going to be harsh. We're not going to be incredibly giving either. It is a challenge. It's a challenge. Well, Matthew might be really, really easygoing, but it's a challenge. So bring your best game, although we are pretty kind to everybody tonight. But without further ado, let's show our first submission, which was The Surprise, submitted by Jesse Crump.
What are you doing here? I got you something. You're not supposed to be here. It's okay. What is that? Let me show you. I don't deserve this. Yes, you do. Wait. There's more.
Big round of applause for Jesse and the team on their version of The Surprise.
Very
Nice. Now, everybody, let's run down our list. Matthew, what did you give for performance?
So for performance, I gave it. Oh, wait, hold on. I have different sets of notes here. For performance, I gave them an 8 out of 10. Now, should I give my critique now, or are we doing the scores first and going back?
Maybe give your critique while you say why.
There we go. Okay, so I went for 8 out of 10 because with performances for this, my main priority is looking at relationships. And do I feel like there's a relationship that is established between the two main actors? And even though, and I'll get to more specifics in terms of direction and clarity later, but even though I didn't necessarily understand everything that was happening, I could tell that they had made clear choices amongst themselves about what their relationship was to one another, which I quite appreciated. And there were a lot of really nice subtle moments and nuances between the two of them. And what I really appreciated was, checking my notes, the moment of acceptance at the end I bought really nicely. Like there was a lot of back and forth between the two of them, but then when it actually developed into something, it gave me a payoff from them having the conflict at the beginning to the character in the white shirt whose name I forget and I should remember because I wrote them. I think it's Alex.
Bradley?
Oh no, they're screen characters. One is Alex, one is Sam. I picked very gender neutral names. I can't remember. But white shirt, we'll go for that. White shirt had a very nice moment of just silence acceptance, and whatever their personal journey was, I bought it. So I appreciated that from an acting stance, hence my 8.
Excellent. What about you, Alex?
I also gave an 8. So I thought this critique kind of will go into the other categories as well. But the fact that it's such a seemingly really solemn, kind of serious scene, but then black shirt, birthday card, and a stuffed animal, but which to me, I think that there's comedy in being given that gift, but they're still very serious about it, but they're not overdoing it to make it like, haha, this is a joke, right? Like they're still being believable. And that is where the humor comes from. It's not, I'm intentionally doing a joke. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? But like, like committing to that specific character to have the payoff of the stuffed animal. So yeah, that's my 8.
What about yourself, Nicole?
I gave it a 7.5. Sorry to break the 8 streak.
Are we doing? We're allowed to do half.
I don't know. I
did
a lot of half points. Sorry. I thought that it was. I really believed whatever was actually going on. Obviously, we don't know the real story and relationship behind them, but I believed it, and I wanted to know more because what they were portraying and their emotions seemed very real, and it really did look like we were just coming in on a snapshot of someone's life and someone's story. So I really liked it. Yeah, it's good.
I gave it an 8 as well, everybody. I enjoyed that it had some strong moments. And like Nicole said, that we were viewing this snapshot of their lives. And I remember the first time seeing it, because I've seen it about 6 times now, but the first time I saw it, I got drawn in really quickly to be like, oh, I did not expect the card to come out of the I did not expect the card to come out of the What is happening? There it is. But so yes, I gave it an 8 for some strong moments and a nice little a touching ending.
Nice.
Matt, what about cinematography?
Okay, so for cinematography, I thought this was a really visually beautiful piece, and I gave them a 9 for cinematography. Now, I thought it was a really great use of a cool space. The framing that they used was, I thought, very well thought out, and there was a solid awareness of screen direction. So there's this whole thing about how you never want to cross the line of 180 degrees because then your viewer can't make sense of where everyone is in proximity to the space. And so they moved spaces within there, from the ledge to the overlook part, and I had a very clear sense of what the visual space was, which is much harder to do than one would typically think. So I thought that was cool. I thought, like I said, they used the space really well. I loved how it ended on Good Vibes Only with the graffiti. The overlook onto the body of water, I thought was gorgeous. I think there was one shot, the shot that was recycled with looking at the card a lot. I felt like that could have benefited from just the fill on white shirt a little bit more, which would have just been as simple as getting a piece of white Bristol board and bouncing some of the natural light on him so that we could see a little bit more of what was going on there. But just in terms of visual aesthetics and in terms of camera blocking, I thought it was a solid 9.
Nice. Nicole, what'd you give for cinematography?
I gave this also a 7.5. I am not as well versed as Matt is. There, he's on that side of me. He's just behind this wall. But I totally get what Matt's saying with we could have used more light on the hero character, but I kind of liked that his friend, the person who was giving the gift, was in light, and then the person receiving was in dark. I kind of liked that little that thing that was going on a little bit. And yeah, I agree. I loved the shot when they were both looking out at the water and the landscape. I just thought that was so beautiful. It was I want more of that. Give me more of that. It was so pretty. But
I'm with you, Nicole. I also gave it a 7.5. I enjoyed the angles, as Matthew said, that they chose interesting shots to represent where they were located. I loved the final shot over the river, and I loved the graffiti shot at the end, which I thought was great. I also agreed with Matt that they could have used a little fill light on White Shirt's face, since we don't know that character's name.
I think it's out.
In the script. We know his actual name, but in the script, it's just going to be White Shirt. So yes, 7.5 from me on cinematography. Now, editing, I will say...
Oh, wait, we have to hear Alex's cinematography.
Oh, sorry, Alex. Absolutely. Go ahead.
That
Brady
was
Bunch.
basically, I also gave it a 9, and basically everything Matt said I did too. But no, because I loved the ending on Good Vibes Only too. Like it was such
Yeah.
a I think that's a great. I don't know if this falls into cinematography, but just using your space, seeing like, oh, we have some graffiti here that says Good Vibes Only, like working with what you have and incorporating it, and just the variety of different camera angles too. Like I love the first shot of white shirt just sitting, and then black shirt comes into the shot and sits next to him. Like I loved that opening shot too.
Yeah. All right. Editing. I'm gonna start with this one. I gave it a 7. And I really wish, because they used such a great song in that fill section where they kept repeating the clips. I just wish the editing had been a little tighter, that it landed on each beat of the song, because it went bum bum bum, and it would have been great if those cuts were on each specific beat to make that a little bit funnier. The first time I saw it, I did not expect. I was like, "Oh, my video is skipping," and then I caught what they were doing and laughed hysterically for a couple minutes before I watched it again. So a 7 on the editing. Then that's my major critique. I wish that it had been on the music board. Matt, what do you think?
Nice. Yeah, so for editing, I did a 7.5. And yeah, so like what I liked was that the cutting on the action was really effective. Like, yeah, I thought that had a really nice flow to it from start to finish. The sequence where the footage was being recycled, I thought was going a little long, and I wasn't clear on whether this was whether it was meant to land as a comedic moment or not. And so that bit of uncertainty for me just made me question how to interpret the film overall. But I thought that outside of that moment, which just made me think, oh, do I understand this movie? Outside of that, I thought all the editing was, it was very well thought out, and 7.5 from Matt.
Nicole, what do you think?
Same. Yeah, I gave it a 7.5 as well. I'm loving the 7.5. So let me just tell you. I don't think anything that I had to say has not been said already. It was really that one moment that I was like, I think it's supposed to be funny. Like I think that this is an intentional thing. Like, yeah, the first time I watched it, I was like, uh-oh. I think when something happened when they were editing and it just like doubled or something, when that accidentally happens. But yeah, other than that, I think everything's been said already. So.
What about you, Alex?
So for me, like when the first time I watched it, I just watched it. And so for my personal opinion is, I think good editing is if you don't notice it that first time you watch it. And so that's something, the only thing, but the intentional, repeating of the shots back and forth. That's the one time when I was like, oh, and that's, but that was intentional. But so then watching it the second time and looking for the editing, that's when I thought it was really very seamless between shots. Like it was never kind of like a jerky change or like the way, one shot suited what was coming next and everything like that. I really loved that. And I think in terms of that repeating shots back and forth, I think there's like a line where it's like, what's happening? Oh, I know what they're doing. It's funny. And then there were two shots
too long. Yeah.
That if they were taken off, because it is that kind of arch where if it keeps going, then it's not as humorous anymore. So I think that if you just eliminated the 2 extra, it would have been great.
Yeah. It's that or the Family Guy one where it goes arches and then it's really uncomfortable, but then it keeps going so long that it becomes funny again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do think had those cuts been like right on the music, it would have solidified if it was meant to be funny or not as well.
Yeah.
Because that was what took me out for a hot second. I was like, oh, they're just not quite in sync there.
Sorry. What was what's your score?
I gave 8. Yeah, sorry.
8 from Alex. Now for the sound, I'm sorry guys, but I had to give you a 5. The ambient sound that took over most of your dialogue, I was like, oh, this is that was hard. So you got a 5 on sound. What about you, Alex?
I gave a 6 for sound, but it was because of the tunnel. I don't know if it's like running water. There was some kind of running water a bit, and you kind of tell that if one of the actors was further away. Like I think there's one scene when he's still up above the tunnel, and then the other actor is right in front of the camera. Like I had a lot of trouble hearing that specific line. So it is just kind of being aware. If you do have ambient sound, to the actor further away is just going to have to project all the more to make sure that it's heard.
Right. Or just go over and redub that later if you can, if
Yeah.
necessary. What about you, Nicole?
I gave it a 6 as well. I did really like the sound of the running water in it. I found it very calming. But when it started like messing with the dialogue, then it was like, oh, darn. Oh, darn. But I think the sound of it added to the scene. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it.
And Matt, what about you, sir?
Yeah, so same thing lots of people have said. I gave it a 7. There were the issues with being able to hear them, which was kind of problematic. But what I really appreciated was that there was like a consistency to the ambient sound, which made me appreciate the job that they did on mixing it, because I feel like the easy trap to fall into when you're working with a location like that is having very evident inconsistent sound where on every cut, like the running water is a little bit louder or a little bit quieter. And just the fact that even though the ambient sound was drowning out some of the dialogue, it was consistent. So it didn't take me out that way. And I would much prefer that to a case where it's like loud water and then silence and then loud water is back, just drawing attention to the cuts. So I think they did a pretty solid job at mixing it. And ideally I would have liked to have like more prevalent dialogue sound, but for what they had and what they worked with, I thought they did a good job in post.
Great. Awesome. All right, last category of the of our tallies here, direction. Matt, what did you give them for direction?
Okay, I gave them an 8 on direction. I thought it was a fun interpretation of the script. Let me see here. Yeah, and it's pretty well just everything that I've said thus far. I wasn't 100% clear on what the narrative story was between the two of them, but there was a clear-cut relationship, which is a big priority for me, and I could tell that they knew what was happening. And it felt like it was like it had a very clear vision, which I appreciated. And I liked how it was a story about conflict that resolved into forgiveness at the end. And if you can give me a story, then I'm happy. 8.
Excellent. What about you, Alex?
I also gave 8. I liked the kind of the misdirection of like, oh, he's like, I'm wondering like, okay, what happened right before the scene started? Like what did they talk about? What happened? So then I was thinking this is kind of the theme with all of the films, but it's about a surprise. But I was like thinking like, what is he going to pull out of this bag? What does he have for him? What is happening? And so I love I was expecting something like, oh no, what's he going to pull out? But then it was a birthday card and a stuffed animal. And yeah, it was, I liked that. I was surprised as a person watching. And
Nicole, what do you got?
My favorite number of the night, 7.5. I really enjoyed it. I just wish because we were going comedy route, that the beats were just a little bit tighter together. Just so as an audience, we weren't like, is this supposed to be funny or am I interpreting this wrong? But other than that, I think everything worked really well. I just wish that was a little bit more understood. Yeah.
Delightful. And I gave a 6 for direction. Like we said earlier, I enjoyed the extended long shots, the looking back and forth. But then, like Alex said, was it a little overused the first time around? I liked that they brought it back. Comedy does happen in 3, so it would have been great to have it one more time after that. Mm-hmm. But then also it did give me a mixed message about what is their relationship. Am I going to see them kiss right now? Are they not going to kiss?
Yeah.
Is this a suicide video? Is this just I'm feeling down video? Is this... So there was a lot of what's happening moments in this montage, which made me give it a 6 because I wasn't 100% sure which one they wanted to go with. I did like the message at the end of the movie, that at the end of the video, saying good vibes only, and it's definitely something we needed right now. And I enjoyed the location. I want to know exactly where that location was. I would like to know where they shot that part. So, guys, let us know where you shot that moment, because I really liked the location. So I gave a 6 for that. Now, Matt, would you like me to play the next video and then we'll tally up Jesse's before we talk?
Oh, Jesse's has been tallied. Let's play the next video.
Okay, well then we're moving on to Rob Woodcock's video, which oh, excellent. I just saw what you posted in there, Matt. We're moving on to Rob Woodcock's video. Let me find that here. Here we go. Which was called Strung Along. And it goes a little something like this.
What are you doing here?
I got you something.
You're not supposed to be here.
It's okay.
What's that?
Let me show you.
Man, I don't deserve this.
Yes, you do.
Oh my god.
Wait. There's more.
Noah's Strung Along, submitted by Rob Woodcock. All right, Matthew, on performance.
Cool. So for performance, I gave them an 8 because those are like two of the most charming gentlemen ever, and I thought they were just so delightful to watch. And I, like, beyond just how much I enjoyed watching them act, so much respect for the fact that they were giving their performances opposite a cup. And I'm almost positive that it was shot remotely, so I don't think they were actually working together, feeding each other their lines. I don't know this for a fact, but that's just kind of the vibe that I got. And yeah, like acting opposite a cup, not easy. And there was some like actual
girls did it.
Sorry?
2 girls did it.
That wasn't acting. That was documentary.
Kids, don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Don't watch. Don't look it up.
Don't give the title. Don't give the real title.
No. Yes, I agree. Alex, what did you give for? Well, before we move on, Jesse's score from all of our tallied is 148. That's so far. There's an extra couple points that might be coming their way down the pike, but so far that is 148 for Jesse's film, The Surprise. Now back to Rob's. Alex, what did you give for performance?
I also gave an 8. I loved that it was a completely. This goes for all of them, but it's totally different interpretation of the same script, which I loved. Like, it was such a contrast, and yeah, what Matt said, they're delightful. They're lovely. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Nicole, what did you give for performance?
I also gave them an 8. I thought it was really fun, very kind of like childlike. It was a nice like humor to it. At one point I wasn't really sure where we were going with like the cups. I until there was another person that showed up. I was like, I don't know what are we doing with this? But once the other actor came in, it was just really fun to watch, and they seemed like they had a good time. Yeah, there was like a lot of playfulness. It was good.
And I gave them an 8.5.
Oh.
With a special shout out to Jaden. The camera loves that man.
Yeah.
Those facial expressions are gold.
Special shout out to his hair too. It was
the hair.
Oh my God, his hair was. Special shout out to his hair.
Special shout out to Jaden's hair. Yes, great facial expressions, great performances. Yeah, Jaden won my heart in that, so 8.5. Matt, cinematography.
Okay, so cinematography, I gave an 8. I thought there was room for improvement. Like the visual aesthetics could have been tidied up. Like, for example, in the first opening shot with our first main character on the couch, there was a lot of open space on frame right that didn't have any dramatic purpose that I felt. And I felt like I wanted to see close-ups of the cup and the string at the beginning. So there were little things like that I would have been in favor of seeing more of. But what I respected, and the reason that I gave it an 8, is I loved how this entire thing like leaned into the visuals so beautifully from start to finish. It was really compelling visual storytelling. Yeah, and it never felt like I was waiting for the dialogue, because I was so compelled by the first half of just trying to figure out what he was doing. And to be able to tell a story without words is such a difficult skill, at least like in film school. They like made us spend almost a year and a half on doing that before they let us talk. So that's something that I have a strong appreciation for.
We didn't talk in film for a really long time.
Yes, that's true. Exactly. And then again, going in terms of camera direction and framing, I thought it was a really smart move that when the kid, what's his name?
Jaden.
Hare, we'll call him Hare for this one. I thought it was a really smart move that when Hare like discovered the phone, his house was framed so that he was like on the left-hand side of the call. And then when Rob went home, he was framed on the opposite side. So everything was just built into establishing this visual connection between the two of them on like opposite sides of the conversation and the spectrum, which I thought was brilliant. And there were, even though I would have liked to see more visual dynamics, the ones that were there were effective, like having the tilt up from the cup to Hare's face was a smart move. And I would have liked to see a little bit more of that, but what we got, I thought was effective.
Nicole, cinematography.
I gave them a 7 just because I think I'm on the same like lines as Matt. I just wanted a little bit more variation. I would have loved to have seen the cup, the fun close up on the cup, and just a little bit more just a little bit more variation with things. But I liked when we were driving, it kind of seemed like it was almost part of a whole movie. It was just really fun, and yeah.
Alex, what about yourself?
I also give 7, kind of the same things as, liking a bit more variety in the camera angles, especially when they were talking back and forth on the phone. Even if you could just, because I think it did kind of go back and forth and it was the same angle each time, but even if you could kind of switch it up a bit, wouldn't be quite as stagnant. I would have just a bit more variety.
I did give a 6 on this one. just some of the opening shots just felt slightly uncomfortable. Like it was like, I feel like this just needs to be a touch this way or that way a couple times. But again, when we got into Jaden's world and some of those shots came into play, it kind of alleviated what I felt earlier on. So a 6, but I did love the whole movie overall. It's great. Alex, what did you give for editing?
Editing, I gave a 6 for editing. So the things that I did like is I loved showing the passage of time, the traveling that Rob did to get the cup all the way over to the other house. The one for me, I found the fade out and in a bit distracting between each shot. So if it was just a cut from shot to shot, I think that it would just make it smoother. So it could be really like stop and start with that fade.
Yeah, I agree with you. I gave a 6.5 for editing. I agreed with the swipes into each shot. I was like, oh, this is adding unnecessary time to this film, I think. And also I felt like there were some sometimes when the conversation went back to Rob, there was like a beat of air that could have maybe been cut out to just get right to his dialogue. Kind of took the beat out of the sequence. But 6.5, just those beats could have been sharper and maybe a few less swipes. Nicole, what do you think?
That was, I gave them a 6 as well. But exactly what I had written down. I just wish they're sort of like with the last one with the humor. I just wish things were a little bit more tighter and cleaner, just so we didn't kind of go out of the video or the film while we were watching it. Yeah.
And Matt, what about yourself, sir?
Yeah, so pretty much all the same things that have been said. I gave a bit of a higher score. I gave a 7.5, rooted in the appreciation for the fact that this was completely built out of editing. Again, I don't know for sure, but I'm almost positive the two of them were never in the same space, but it still felt cohesive as the same movie. And like it felt like it was being shot by the same cinematographer. So it didn't fall into the trap that I've seen a lot with people stitching together like videos and COVID projects where people are shooting on their own devices, where it's very clearly like a different cell phone or a different camera. So there was a flow there and there was a continuity that I really appreciated. I felt like the fade outs or those transitions, I wasn't a fan of, because to me, those are always the like filmic equivalent of blackouts in theater, where it just kind of drops the energy. And then as soon as you come back to something, you have to re-engage. And I re-engaged very quickly because I love this movie. But then as soon as the blackouts happened again, that's where I kind of fell back and then had to go back and forth. So I felt like the material was all there, but I would have liked to see like just cleaner cuts. And even going back to talking about cutting on action, like the footage was there, but then there were certain moments like when the water was squirted into the one cup where I would have liked to see a match on action in the reactionary shot with hair kid as opposed to squirt. Then we saw his full coverage of looking, then the water coming out. It would have heightened the comedy and the dynamics if it was like squirt, boom. So I just would have liked the pacing to be tightened up. But again, respect for the fact that this was born out of editing, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and now for everyone that does not know, just so you're all aware back at home, the winning movie tonight is going to have a gift from us valued at over $200. So if you're like, oh, they're a little harsh or that's a little steep of a critique, it's coming at a price. So it's coming. It's not like we're just like, and the winner gets a gift certificate that says congratulations. No, they actually are taking home a prize tonight. And of course, second and third place will also get a prize tonight as well. But the grand prize is valued at over $200. So just so everyone at home is aware, that's why we are critiquing these movies, because one of them is going to walk away with a really nice prize. Did everyone get to talk about editing? Yeah. Yes, they did. So, Matt, what did you think about the sound quality?
So for sound, I gave it a 7.5. I liked the music. I thought it had a nice simplicity that embodied the overall tone of the film. I felt like the dialogue was pretty decently balanced with the ambient sound. And again, there was a nice consistency overall to the mix. I felt like they could have had more fun with playing with different sound effects or sound filters, like specifically modifying the voice just to hear what that sounds like when it's coming through the other end of the phone. And yeah, I think it was perfectly fine and good. I just think it could have been pushed further and they could have had a little bit more fun with it. But yeah, overall, I thought it was good.
What about yourself, Nicole?
Those were my exact critiques as well. I gave it a 6.5. I just wanted them to do a little something else with it. I think there could have been. It was really nice and pleasant to watch, and it didn't distract from the video or at all. But I just do wish that there was a little bit more intrigue in it.
Right, Alex. What about yourself?
I gave it a 7. I liked the lightheartedness of this one. I loved the setting up for the punchline, which again I was surprised. I saw like the cup phone. I initially thought that that the punchline was traveling all that way, and for him to be like, "Is your fridge running?" or something like I thought he was going to do like a prank phone call with the cup. So I was surprised at the water and the powder and stuff, but I think again, Lee, like comedy happening in threes, so maybe having a third gag after the flour and the water, and maybe like a really big gag to kind of wrap it up, because there wasn't I mean, it's hard with a short film, but there wasn't a real kind of denouement, if you will, after a climax. So, but yeah, that's it.
And I gave a 5.5. The room ambiance kind of took me away out of it from time to time, but I did love the choice of song. I thought that was really cute, and it was a nice travel song. And I agree. I also wish there had been like just a little extra sound effect of like poof when the flower came out, or a squirt of the water gun, just to give it that heightened cartoon comedic bit. But so a 5.5. For direction, I gave it an 8. I thought it was a clever idea. It was nice to see it stretched out over the 2 locations, and like Matt pointed out, not sure if it was shot at the same time, like how they made that happen. So it was nice to see the continuity that did come out of that. I loved the idea. I thought Jaden was great at agreeing to have flour and water paste thrown all over his face. I thought that was really cute and funny. So an 8 from me. What about yourself, Matt?
Yeah, I gave it a 9 because I loved the concept so much. I thought it was such a fun setup. I would have liked to have seen it like snowball into more, kind of like what Alex said about comedy happening in threes, but I also would have liked to see some retaliation from Hare's side, like throwing some stuff to Rob and then just having it engage and turn into this all-out hilarious war of the phones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but I thought, like I said, the concept, I love it so much, and it was really fun execution.
There was only one thing that I was like, oh, I wish that had been clocked, is that those phones don't work unless the string is pulled tight.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like one moment where you just saw it like loosely all over the ground down the street, and I was like, oh, I wish there had been a way for them to make that look like it was a tight string to the phone. But
I suspended my disbelief.
All right, well, we should do that. It is movies and theater, but it was just that one moment I was like, that's not going to work. Alex, what did you give for direction?
I just realized my last thing was direction that I gave. I totally skipped over sound, so I'm going to do sound now. Sorry. I gave it an 8 for sound. I loved the song. I think having that kind of continuous song throughout the traveling kind of built it up. The anticipation of like, okay, what's he doing? What's Rob doing? Where is he going with this? Why is he driving all this way to bring a phone? And yeah, so I liked that. I liked having that continuous song, and it's so cheerful, and such a cheerful song when you're having water sprayed in your face.
Agreed. And Nicole, what about yourself for direction?
Sorry.
Yeah, geez, wow. What were we talking about again? Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well. I just thought it was really fun. I do wish there was like some more stakes involved, just a little bit. I think it was a great concept. I think they could have pushed it in a lot of aspects just a little bit more and just upped the comedy. Why not? You're going for it. Why not just like go for it? We all know Rob. I don't personally know Jaden, but I know Rob. I know, what he's capable of, and I feel like he could have gone even bigger with it. So I think that was also it, because we all know him. It was like, give me more. I know you.
There was a bit of like that creepy like at the
Yeah, a
beginning. I was like,
little
that's a bit terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, at first I thought it was going like the creepy
Yeah.
way. I thought like
Yeah,
I didn't know what was happening. But yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
All right. So while Matt tallies up those points, it is time to show our last submission, submitted by Matthew Hughes. This one is also called The Surprise. And I will say, much like the other two films that we've seen so far, I love that this one is completely, I shouldn't pound next to my microphone, is completely the opposite of the first two films we've seen. When I finally saw this, I was like, nicely done that all three teams have chosen something completely different.
Yeah.
So here we go with The Surprise. What are you doing here?
I got you something.
You're not supposed to be here.
It's okay.
What is that?
Let me show you.
I don't deserve this.
Yes, you do.
Oh, my God.
Okay, wait. There's more.
What more? What is it? All right, Nicole, let's start with you. For performance, what did you give?
I gave it a 9. I thought they were both super believable. I liked that the hoodie guy came in and was like almost like was so excited and like happy about it, because you're getting such other vibes from black shirt guy. Like you didn't know what was going on. Like I was like, did they just kill somebody? What just happened in this basement? So I love the believability. I liked the dynamic between the two of them. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. This is definitely like my jam for out of the 3. This is the one that I'm like, oh, I want to watch this movie. I want to see where this goes. I'm really into this. Yeah.
Excellent. I gave a 5 for performance.
Ooh.
I know it's a little steep, but I will say that for me, it felt a little too relaxed when COVID dude came down the stairs. I called him COVID dude because he had a mask on. But then I was like, but you took the mask off to talk to him, so why did you wear the mask in the first place? There was just that moment of, or was he trying to hide his face to be inconspicuous? But I think because I was in COVID mind, I thought it was like COVID mask. Yeah. But I thought it could have been a little more heightened in the urgency of look what I just found. And because why is he setting up these cameras if this is happening? Like for us to get to that point, there has to have been something that happened to make it this heightened. Like, oh my God, he's setting up cameras around the room to record whatever's coming down the stairs. So I felt that could have been a little more intense. So a 5 for performance, but I agree with you, Nicole. I also enjoyed this film. Matthew, what'd you think?
Yeah. I kind of fall halfway between both of you. I gave it a 7.5. And just to kind of reiterate what's already been said, I thought there was a nice subtlety. I wasn't clear on what the relationship necessarily was between the two of them and what that power dynamic was. I thought Hoodie had a pretty clear objective. I do agree that the stakes could have been up a little bit more for the two of them, but I wasn't as clear on the objective from the perspective of Black Shirt. I thought he had a really nice moment at the beginning, like his nonverbal moment of setting up the camera and creating that tension, but then I didn't really see a progression in his character from start to finish the way that I have with that same character in some of the other pieces.
Right. I agree. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I kind of said the same kind of similar things to Matt, and so I gave a 7. There were kind of in this one as well a bit of lost dialogue, but I don't think that had to do with which I think was more towards delivery of the dialogue rather than sound editing specifically.
Right.
So just when it is such it's a short script, there are only so few lines that you
Line
get,
is
so
important,
making the most of them, making sure that they're all heard because there's so few of them.
Right. Each line is extremely important to the sequence.
Mhm.
We each gave performance, yes.
Yeah.
Matt, what'd you give for cinematography?
All right, cinematography. I gave it a 9 because I said it was extremely visually captivating. I like the choice of having different camera feeds, having the one diegetic camera set up at the beginning, then having one more omnipotent look at everything that was happening, which I thought was quite effective. Going back to what I mentioned about screen direction in the first one, I felt like there were some moments where the screen direction got a little confused. It didn't necessarily take me out of the film, but I think it's just something to be aware of. Specifically, yeah, that shot where the camera fell to the ground, I felt like that kind of skewed the 180-degree rule line. But by that point, I had a good enough sense of what the space was that I could figure out what was happening. But yeah, overall, I thought it was quite delightful to look at.
Excellent. Alex, what did you think about the cinematography?
I also said 9 because I loved having those two different styles, same as what Matt said, and I loved kind of at the end when they're gathering their things to go to leave. You were almost kind of like spying on them, just seeing that last, almost like you weren't supposed to see that conversation, and you wonder like, is this like you don't know if it's like a live stream or whatever, Black Shirt was doing, but you do kind of like feel like, I don't know if I was supposed to see that, but we're seeing it. Like I liked that contrast between between the two cameras.
I gave a 6.5. I did love the contrast between the cameras. I loved the color that they used, the coloring for the room. I enjoy ambers and strong, like autumn colors, so that made me very happy. Yeah, so a 6.5 for the cinematography aspect of it. There were some things where I was like Matt said, when the camera fell, and that angle there for a hot second, I was like, this feels, I understand what you're doing, but I feel like this should still be a little bit further back, just to give it more depth. I felt like I was just looking at his butt a little too long. But what about yourself, Nicole?
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. I really liked like the moodiness of it. I liked the look of it, like you said, like the ambers and those kind of autumn colors. That just speaks to me. But I think that when it fell, it almost felt like it was too early because nothing had happened yet. Like he just walked in and then all of a sudden it fell.
Yeah, I wish like his arm had like moved backwards when he opened the bag to knock the camera over.
I was like, oh, okay. Is that what we're doing? Like I didn't really get the fall there. I did like the fall. I liked that change. I did like the two different styles. I wish there was a little bit more attention paid to when it was just the camera on them. I felt like that, and then the attention that was paid to once the camera fell and all of the fun stuff that was going on with that. I wish there was a little bit more. Yeah. So
Excellent.
7.5.
Everyone did cinematography? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You did, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say 6.5 for editing. Again, I thought it was some great super sharp cuts, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the various angles. But I just couldn't put my finger on why I couldn't give it a higher number than 6.5. But I rested at 6.5. Alex, what do you think?
I gave it a 9. I loved the use of after the camera was knocked over, you kind of got this, that the camera was malfunctioning a little bit because you had that kind of blue flashes in the color, and I thought that was like that kind of tealy blue contrasting with those ambers. I thought that was so nice, and I loved that they had that effect of like wreck in the corner for the camera, and so you always knew when it was the camera
Right.
on them as opposed to just them in the scene. So I really loved that. And yeah, that's
Awesome.
it.
Nicole, what'd you think?
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5 for editing. I don't really have much to say about it. I think it was good. I don't know. I don't have much to say. I think you guys kind of summed it up already.
Matt, what about yourself?
Yeah, I kind of fell in the middle. I gave it a 7, so double checking my notes. I thought the back and forth was good and the pacing was good overall, but my main qualm with the editing was that I felt like we were missing out on some integral reaction shots from Black Shirt, specifically when the egg came out, and then there was just a lot of focus on Hoodie, and I don't know if that was a choice or if it was a case of not having the footage, but in any case, I felt like part of the reason or part of the conflicts that I had when it came to performance, I think also had to do with not feeling connected to that character, which plays into not seeing certain reactionary shots that I felt were necessary in that moment. And then I have this in my notes. I'm trying to remember when it happened, but I think it's when the camera fell and then the feed from that perspective with the cool like color shifting and everything. I felt like the transitions there, similar to what I said with Rob, are in a place where I would have rathered faster cuts, because if we're going for the whole vibe of the cameras like malfunctioning and everything, then I feel like there should have been more, I don't know, more warping going on both visually and in terms of the audio. And it was just a very like slow fade out, fade back in. It was a really quick moment, but I think it was an integral one because it shifted our visual perspective on what was happening, and it was a tension building moment, and it felt like a subtler, quieter tension building moment that would have been effective in a longer format film. But because this is so short, I just wanted the tension amped up, and that could have been accomplished just through quicker jump cuts.
Nice. For sound, Alex, what'd you give for sound?
I gave it a 7. I loved the music that they used. I also really loved at the end the use of the silence. When they went to go get the, like, you still heard the music, but there was no sound coming from the recorder, so you couldn't hear their movement or anything like that as they left. So I thought that was a really cool way to end it. But I found there was a bit of white noise, so I don't know if that was from their cameras or from whatever it was. There was just a bit of hiss, and I don't know if that was something that could be taken out or lessened at all. But that was also something that kind of had an effect on dialogue too. That just that little hiss just was a little distracting.
Nicole, what'd you think about sound?
I gave it a 7 as well. I actually wrote, I kind of liked like that staticky sound, similar to the other film with the water noise. I really quite enjoyed it, but if it interrupts your dialogue, then you just see it as noise instead of almost like an intentional sound. Because I think that static could be used really interestingly with this content and the theme that they actually chose. I think it could have worked really well, but yeah, because it interrupted the dialogue, I think it just it turned it off a little bit. But other than that, yeah, I found it really I really liked the music as well. I thought it added a good like heightened level of emotion to it.
Yeah, I gave them a 6 for sound, and I agree. Right from the downbeat of the first shot, that low bong drew me into the film. I was like, immediately what kind of movie you're about to see from that song choice, which was great. The hissing, I was on the fence about, because I was like, okay, from the type of camera that they might be using for the not using to make the film, but what he was setting up. It might have given that sound, so we might be hearing it from that footage, maybe. But at the same time, I was like, is this pulling me out too much? I'm not 100% sure. And I just wish there'd been more like when the camera fell, there'd been a sound effect there. Or some sort of like when it started to static in the video, that it had that like that side of that pop and crackle type of sound that comes when that happens. But so yeah, 6. Matt, what about yourself?
I give it a 7, and pretty well for all the things that have already been addressed. Like, I like the choice of the music and the sound effects. I wasn't clear on whether the inconsistencies in the static were meant to be a representation of the different camera feeds. And if that was the case, I think that could have been pushed further. And if that wasn't the case, I think it could have been smoothed out, or they could have just used one audio source that they had available just to have something slightly more consistent. I would have been in favor of just pushing it further so that we have a clear distinction between what we're looking at, because I like that as a device. I just wasn't clear on whether that's what they were going for or not. There was also one part when I also felt like we could have had a sound effect. Well, yes, when the camera fell, but also when Hoodie arrived, because he's by himself, he's in the space, and then he looked, and then we see him. But I felt like it would have been a nice introduction moment, and it would have kind of shattered the quiet intensity that had been building for the last few seconds if we heard the sound first, then we saw him approach, which is like a really small specific thing, but that was something that I was watching and just thinking, how come this entrance isn't hitting me the way I wanted to? And I thought a sound would fix that.
Yeah, like either a slamming door or the sound of footsteps coming down the stairs, something that made his arrival known, or even like a from off. He couldn't add dialogue, so I was going to say a hey or something, but couldn't add that. So the last category for each of us to talk about for the last film, which we've just screened, is direction. And for me, I gave an 8 for direction. I thought, again, the color choices were great. I enjoyed that they took this film into a sci-fi horror movie thriller-esque direction, which is just, like Nicole said earlier, that's my thing. I love that. I wish there had been more handy cam type shots. If there was, like, since we were kind of balancing on that anyway, especially when it fell over, I wish there had been more, and I hate to say it, but Blair Witch type shots. As much as that can drive a person crazy, it also probably would have worked really well for this. Thanks, fun time. So I said a number 8 for direction. I was drawn in right from the downbeat. The location was creepy and cool. Is that somebody's literal basement? Like, where did you guys shoot that one as well?
Right.
Let us know. What? Like, that is, if that was my basement, I would never go in. that was, what about yourself, Matt? What'd you give?
So I gave an 8.5 for pretty well all the same things that you said. I loved that there was a very clear tone set within a few seconds. There was a beautiful sense of tension that was established right from the beginning that was maintained. I think it could have been heightened a little bit more, but it was there, which I appreciated. I loved the prop work. I mean, a big part of my score was just how much I loved the egg, and there was no other category for props or anything. So this is just my moment to express how much I loved the egg and the gooiness. And
what is that goo?
Yeah.
I don't want to know because I don't want to kill the magic. But like the mise en scène was top notch in this entire project. And yeah, my only qualm, I feel like it's a trap that comes with material that is of this nature, that is this short, that I was missing what Alex referred to with one of the earlier projects as the denouement. It felt like it was more of a teaser for a longer project that I really want to see, as opposed to a self-contained short film that had a clear like beginning, middle, and resolution at the end.
Yeah.
But I liked what I saw, and gooey egg.
Gooey egg, which I wanted to know what was the egg as well, everybody.
I thought it was an alien egg.
Well, I mean, I thought I meant a prop. What did they use to make that? Because I was like, it doesn't look like a football. And if it is a football, then it's completely paper mache.
Like paper mache.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe it might have been like a foam, something like you can get from like Michael's, and maybe it was like shaped.
Absolutely. And I agree with Matt. I don't want to know what the slime was, but I know they didn't use that backpack again. What about you, Nicole? What'd you give for direction?
I gave it an 8 as well. I definitely agree with everything that's already been said. Loved the egg, but I definitely felt like I was watching like a teaser for like the next Alien vs Predator movie. Like, you know, when they just like randomly throw out like a 30-second clip to you and you're like, but what is it? What is it about? What did I just watch? What now I have to wait 6 months for the movie to come out? I definitely felt like that. So I just think, again, stakes could have been risen a little bit. Like things could have, if things were just tightened up a little bit more, I think we would have gotten a clear point of view of what was happening and where the story was maybe heading. Not that they necessarily have to tell us what happens, but where it was going, because I wasn't really sure.
I do love that it left it ambiguous at the end. Like there was just no. I was like, well, what is the egg? And you had to use your own imagination to fill in the rest, which I feel like in this day and age we forget we have.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, we do have the ability to use our imagination and color in the rest of the picture. But I would totally go see that movie just to see what happens next.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Alex? What'd you give for direction?
I gave 8. I loved where it went. I love that slime. That was amazing. It was so good. It was so
Love
good.
the slime.
I think the start with the recording, it made me think it was going to head into a bit more of like a murdery direction.
Right.
Typically, you know, when someone's like turning on the camera like this, and you think like, okay, something bad has either just happened or is going to happen. And so I was like, what is this guy going to pull out of this backpack? What godly thing does he have in there? You know, like but yeah, it was just kind of the creativity of, you know, however they made that egg or however they made the slime, just like it's so, they just did a great job.
I fully agree with that. Everyone's given direction. Matt, excellent. So Matt's got a tally up, which I do believe he has done. The last. All right. So we do know that we started, just putting this here for everybody to read. 1 second. Okay. Jesse had 148 when we started. That is not the button I wanted to press. There we go. All right. So this now is the total of just what we've had, right, Matt? This is just this is just our points. So
this is just
here
us.
is the standing, which is mighty close.
That's
everybody.
very close.
Well,
That is very close.
So Matt, what happens now? How do we? What happens next?
What happens now? Another suitcase in another hall.
Take your picture off another wall.
That's the one. Where am I going to? Oh, yeah. So now it's not over yet, because next we are going to factor in the audience score. So throughout the entire run of this, the audiences have had the opportunity to engage with the content, either by leaving comments or by liking them on social media between Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, as well as some polls that we've put out on the NewWerx Instagram story. So we have tabulated all of that, all of the likes, all of the comments, and all of the votes in the poll to determine who had the most votes and the most love from the audience. And the way that we're going to factor these scores into these final scores is whichever film received the most votes and the most engagement will get an additional 3 points added to their score. Whichever one came in second will get an extra 2 points. Whichever came in third will get an extra 1 point. So it could still go anyway.
Right. Keep talking for a second.
Okay. So to reiterate, we are now going to be adding the audience points to these existing scores. Again, whichever film got the most love from the audience, whichever film got the most votes in terms of the audience choice, love. I'm repeating myself. Should I keep going? They're going to get 3 points.
You are good
Whichever
now.
one got the second most engagement will get an extra 2 points. Whichever one got the third most engagement will get an extra point. So again, it could go any way. Who knows?
It could go any way, honestly, guys. So I've just added in the points that we already know from earlier with the social media stuff. So again, the winner of our very first annual NewWerx Film Challenge will receive a valued gift of over $200, which includes a $100 gift certificate and then 4 free tickets to our very next hopefully live performance, or any performance, but 4 free tickets. And of course, second and third place will receive 2 free tickets to whichever live performance we get. You get no money, but you do get free tickets and to come see us and hang out with us. Also, we've been talking with Matt, and we are looking at starting our next New Works Film Challenge in another month or two. Hopefully one centered around the winter or fall season. So if you are out there and want to submit a video, pay close attention to our social media in the coming weeks and days ahead as we get closer to announcing when it will happen and what it will be. Hopefully we can do 2 of these a year, and then it won't be an annual thing. It will be a semi-annual thing, which would be fantastic. If you have out there, I know everyone's like, who won? Stop talking. I will get there. We are about to embark on doing our first live on stage performance. Crazy. We have licensed the show. We have gotten the rights to a show. And we are counting down the days to being not here on your video screen, on your computer screen, but live and in person. You can sit in a theater and watch us sing our faces off. That is coming down the pipes. We are looking for sponsors and donations to help make it happen. We are a not-for-profit organization. All of the money goes directly to the NewWerx Fund to help put people on stage, to put a light on their face, to put a working microphone in their hand, and to put live people in the audience, and to make sure it all happens safely. So all of that money goes to the performers, goes to making sure everything is safe and promoted properly. So donations, sponsors, there will be a sponsorship package on our website very shortly that includes a whole bunch of perks depending on what level you'd like to make a donation in. And if you would like to donate right now, you can visit newworksproductions.com/donate. I do believe there's a band here that I can put up for that. That will allow you, just visit our website and go to the donate tab. That will allow you to make a donation. That's right down there. We would appreciate it. Again, we are a not-for-profit organization, so it's not like it's going into any of our pockets. It's going into the performer pockets and back into the community to put on more shows, more live shows in the future.
Yes, operators are standing by.
Operators are standing by. This is the PBS part of the show where we ask for your support. What you may not know is that Alex, when she's not here, is just waiting by the phone. She is running everything behind the scenes. All right, guys. So
Hey, look at that puppy. Donate for the puppy.
Donate for the puppy. In the arms of the angels, fly away from here.
Like, Mom, go away.
This one is dead.
Oh, no.
All right. So enough procrastination on who is our winner tonight. I do want to say before we do announce that each film, despite our critiques, was awesome. We didn't know what to expect when we put this out there. This was Matt's idea, and again, it was a brilliant idea. I'm glad we did this, Matt. Well done.
I just personally loved the fact, everyone had the same script and did completely different things with them. Like, that's
Absolutely.
what was so great about this particular contest, was just the ideas that people came up with all having the same dialogue. So
Thank you for sharing your creativity and your talent with us, because
Absolutely.
that was awesome. You put in a lot of time and effort to do that, and that was really great. Really appreciated.
Absolutely. Matt, do you have anything you want to say before we give an announcement, give our winners the alertness?
Yeah, no, just to echo what everyone else has said, it's been really great seeing the creativity that came out of this project, especially since this was our first time attempting it. So just to see the support and the interest from creators out there was awesome. And then the work that was put out was equally awesome. And hopefully it was a great experience for them as well, just to create something mid-pandemic, because I know that I like to look for prompts to be creative. And yeah, hopefully some of the feedback that was provided today was helpful. Like, I feel like I learned a lot listening to all of you for my future artistic endeavors. And yeah, I look forward to doing this again.
Absolutely. And NewWerx's mandate from day one has been to create new work. That's why it's in our name, just spelled with an RX and not a K. and O and a K. But it's to create new works across Canada, to create new Canadian content. And these are all 3 Canadian films that were created, which is awesome. And it meets our mandate, it meets our mission statement, and we want to do more of that. We want to promote more of you here at NewWerx. So if you see a call out for an audition, or you see a call out to do a new film submission, don't hesitate. We're here to support you and to bring you to the world, bring you to our community, bring you to our local areas. We want to showcase you. So without any further ado, can I get a drum roll, please? They told me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum.
Not yet. Not yet.
Peace on earth.
Not yet.
So, coming in at 3rd place is Strung Along by Rob Woodcock. Well done, everybody. That was the one with the phone and the earpiece. Well done. Coming in at 2nd place. Now this, when we did the social media tabs, brought it even closer than it was before, I think. 2nd place goes to Jesse Crump with The Surprise, which was the first one with everybody sitting with the dog and the card. And of course, in 1st place is Matthew with The Surprise, with the alien and the slime and all that good stuff. Imagine that there's confetti throwing in the air and we have America's Got Talent type of stuff happening right now.
Those scores are all really close, though.
Those are really close scores, guys. Well done, everybody. What does it say here? Yahoo, says Louise. Congrats, everybody. So, Matt Hughes, you just won yourself a gift of over $200 from us here at NewWerx. So, I know you may not be watching this live right now, so you'll find out later. And I hope you post on your social media that you are a freaking winner. Sure, use those words if you like. And Jesse and Rob, of course, you do not go home empty-handed. We will be sending you complimentary tickets to our upcoming, hopefully live performance, so you can sit in the audience and enjoy time with us as well. And again, if you see a call out for an audition, everybody, if you see a call for a film submission, or we should hopefully be doing audition horror stories again soon. So if you would like to do, if you have any scary, insanely ridiculous audition stories, please let us know. And we turn them into some sort of creepy Twilight Zone-esque story for the Halloween season. Until we see you next time, everybody. Matthew, great job once again.
Oh, wait, which one, me or the winner?
Both, actually.
Yeah, it's the night of Mats.
It's the night of Mats.
Mats are winners today.
We are. We're winners every day.
That's right. Thank
Except
you.
for when we're losers.
Thank you, judges, for your critiques. Appreciate that greatly. Thank you for being with us. And everybody that tuned in or is going to watch later, hope you enjoyed the show. And for the first ever annual NewWerx Film Festival, Matthew Hughes, you are now a part of NewWerx history. Congratulations.
Congrats,
and
Matt.
we are out. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.